I'm going to show you guys my process of climbing the tree from the ground all the way up till I have an arrow knocked. And I'm going to talk about my system and the products I use. So if you're interested in a more specific part of my system, look in the description below. I'm going to link to a lot of other videos that I did about specific parts of my process, as well as the products that I use. So I use a Doyle's gear hoist. This is the webbing version. It's an auto-retracting bow pull-up rope. And you'll notice I set my bow away from the tree a couple steps, and I do this for a couple reasons. One of them is that if I'm climbing the tree and I was to drop a climbing stick or something like that, I don't want that climbing stick to fall and damage my bow, so I set my bow away from the tree. As well as stepping down from my last climbing stick in the dark, I don't want to accidentally step down and step on my bow. With my first stick, I'll install the first step between the point of my hip and middle of my thigh, and this gives me a good first step so I can get higher with less sticks. With my second and third climbing sticks, you'll notice that I'm attaching them to my saddle. I use the Male accessory clips that Aero Hunter sells, and I also have a small piece of 550 paracord tied on the end of each one of those sticks so I can attach them to my saddle and climb up in one trip. I like to set my second stick while standing on the bottom of my first stick, so I use a reference point. Here you can see I use my chin on the top of the second stick to reference my stick spacing. So this gives me a good step spacing so that I don't accidentally put my steps too close together or too far apart and have to come back down the tree to reset them to make my step spacing even. Once I'm on the first step, I'll go ahead and attach my lineman's belt. With a lineman's belt, you never want that lineman's belt to really go below waist level, and you always want to try to keep as much load on it as possible. So you'll notice that as soon as it goes below waist level, I'll raise it up and lean back to keep the load in it. Again, installing my climbing sticks, I use a body part for a reference to help give me good stick spacing. Run the rope around the tree through the muddy cam cleat, tie a half hitch, and you'll notice I actually feed the rope through the standoff on the muddy stick, and this is just so that on windy days it helps keep that excess rope from blowing around. Once I have my fourth stick installed, I'll typically install my platform as well. When I install my platform, I'll either be standing on the bottom of my third stick or on the top of my third stick, depending on how high above my fourth stick I want my platform. So here there's a small limb that I've cut off this tree, so I don't want to place my platform too high. Otherwise it'll make it difficult to go from my last stick to my platform. So you'll notice I put my platform just below that limb that I cut off. When I install my platforms, I like to have my ratchet on my ratchet strap directly in line with my climbing sticks, because when I set up, most of the time I like to have that directly underneath of me, because that's the less likely area that I'm actually going to have to use for movement around the tree with my feet. For step spacing, I like to have about 5 inches spacing between my steps, so I typically run 6 strap-on steps. In this case they're Ameristep strap-on tree steps, about 5 inches apart, 6 of them on this tree. And I like to really tighten my platform down. It just helps keep everything from shifting or moving once it's on the tree. Once I'm up on my platform, I like to go ahead and shorten my lineman's belt to get myself closer to the tree. And this is because, again, I use my body to reference where my accessories are going to go on the tree. So the first thing I install once I'm up there is I'll go ahead and install my tree strap. I like a tree strap a little bit higher than most people, so I'll put my tree strap at head level or a little higher depending on the setup. Once my tree strap's installed, I'll pull out my hanger that I used to hang my pack on, and I will attach this at the 3 o'clock position on the tree between shoulder and neck height, and that's just good at spacing so that when I hang my pack, it doesn't interfere with me as I move around the tree. I also hang it on my right side because I'm right hand dominant, so it puts everything that I might need to grab right there. Then I'll install my bow hanger. I use a U-Slide Mini. I'll install this between the 9 and 10 o'clock position on the tree, about 2 to 4 inches above my knee. I like this bow hanger because it holds the bow by the bottom limb so that it doesn't interfere with my tree strap if I work around the tree, And because I install it above my knee, if I was to support my knee on the tree, I can do so underneath that bow hanger, and the bow hanger doesn't interfere with me. Once I've done this, I'll go ahead and remove my pack and hang my pack on my pack hanger. I'll then attach my bridge. I'll remove it from my left side, clip it to the right side bridge attachment point, and then I will reach in between my lineman's belt, grab my bridge, bring it up to the tree strap, and clip it into the carabiner on the tree strap. Then I'll adjust the Blake's hitch, and you'll notice here I never remove my lineman's belt until I make sure that all of my load is in the saddle and that everything is secure. Then I'll remove my lineman's belt and I will daisy chain it. So I will slide the Blake's hitch all the way towards the saddle, and then I will begin daisy chaining the excess rope. Now I'll go ahead and pull my bow up. Again, I'm using a Doyle's gear hoist, so it's auto retracting. So I don't have to worry about winding up my bow rope once I get my bow to the top. It's automatically retracted. I'll go ahead and hang my bow on my U-Slide Mini. I'll grab an arrow and I'll knock an arrow, and I'm ready to hunt. So this entire setup from the time I got to the base of the tree till I have an arrow knocked and set up ready to hunt took me 6 minutes and 30 seconds.